time. So I think there was one class I almost started late the other day, so I don't remember whose it was. Oh, it was you guys, actually, wasn't it? I started a couple minutes late because I wasn't watching and I didn't have my bells going. I got to set Alexa back up. So what we're gonna, this one isn't super long, so I'm hoping you get a little bit extra time. But I originally was thinking we would use some of the async time to go back through 4.1 and 4.2, anything you have questions on, but I forgot that I have to do BC during your asynchronous time because I have some second period BC still in this class. So today, during like the last 20 minutes of third period, I'll send out a remind. And I'm just going to use the link for the intervention room. So if you still have intervention there, I have not switched over to a second Google Classroom. I will do that probably next week. We're just going to leave week 1 in here. So if you go to where it says intervention in the Google Classroom, there's a link there. I will also send that same link out. That's the link I'm going to use for the extra time. If you guys want some extra help on those things, I will open up through about the last 20 minutes of third period, and then I will go after school. So if you can't come in the last 20 minutes of third period, come in at 2:35, and I will be there and I will answer questions. I know that a few of us expressed concern that we're struggling. The 4.1, which we technically did last semester, will be on the test for this. So you guys want to make sure that you're up on that and have it done, okay? I'm not going to collect notes for it technically, but you want to make sure you understand what you were doing, okay? All right, we are talking through kind of parts of free response questions. So I'm going to show you something. Please do not freak out when you see this, okay? But I want to show you where this is coming from. Okay, so they actually told us this is part of a 2010 AP Calculus question from AB and BC. So the cool thing about calculus is that if you don't pass the AB test, the BC test gives you credit for both courses if you pass it. And by the time people take it for a second year, something clicks probably about mid-September. That second year, that it's all of a sudden, you just get it. Not that you're not going to get it this year. I'm hoping you get it this year. But if something just makes us a stronger student by about mid-September next year. It just makes you more confident in going into that second year's exam. And you've experienced it once, and it's the only AP course sequence that's like that. Which makes it kind of nice. But the College Board and a lot of colleges, if you pass the BC test, you get credit for both AB and BC. You get what they call an AB subscore. So some of the questions are actually on both tests. So this question happened to be on both tests in 2010. So this isn't something that goes away next year. I want to show you the actual question though, because you'll notice, which we have no context of in California. I love that they gave us which I'm going to give you a question about snow, and in our part of California, we have no context for snow. But they talk about Janet in the driveway, and they say, find the rate of change of the volume of the snow in the driveway at 8 a.m. And notice, that's it, okay? That's the only part of the question they have. What the actual question looked like, okay, so here's the scoring guides. It was question number 1, okay? So there's Janet and her driveway. Notice it has 1, 2, 3, 4 parts to it, okay? So we are at this point only able to answer part B, because that's the part, even though they labeled it part A in the problem there, this is the only part we will be able to answer at this point, because we have not learned enough to do A, C, and D, okay? But part B gets us points. When we're on a free response question, your goal, there's 9 points on a calculus free response question, and you can see there's the scoring guide there. There's 9, so out of the 9 points, you want to aim to get probably about 4 to 5 points, minimum. So you only can pick up 2 or 3 on this one, you need to pick up a few more on the next one. But if you can get through like 2 to 3 parts of the question, you're looking really, really good, okay? All right. So let's take a look at this question, okay? So there's no snow on Janet's driveway. When snow begins to fall at midnight, from midnight to 9 a.m., snow accumulates on the driveway at a rate modeled by F of T equals 7te to the cosine t cubic feet per hour. Okay, so help me out. What do you think I should do with that equation right now? Tell me in the chat, what do you think? Everybody needs to participate in the chat, right or wrong, doesn't matter. Tell me what you think I should do with that f of t equation. I'm waiting for answers. All right, good job. We are going to put it in the calculator, right? And we know that because there's a little calculator thing. On the AP test, it will tell us put it in the calculator. When you're taking the test, provided it's the traditional test, the order of the test goes multiple choice, non-calculator, and there's about 30 questions there. And there's multiple choice calculator, there's 15 questions there. And then it's free response. There's 2 calculator questions and then 4 non-calculator questions. So the emphasis on the test is not on the calculator. It's on the calculus. So you do have to learn to do some things in the calculator, but the emphasis is definitely not there on the calculator. All right, let's go ahead and put it in. So I cleared it. Remember, you clear it by doing Doc B. Okay. I want to put that in the graphing part of the calculator. And what am I going to type in? Help me out in the chat. Everybody can do this. What am I going to type in instead of t? So what am I going to type in instead of t? Ah, good job, x. So I'm going to say 7x. E, no, E is right here next to the x to the 10th power. And then it's cosine t or cosine x. I'm going to go trig cosine x. You have to have those parentheses, which is why you should use the trig button. If you just try typing in cosine, it might not take it. All right, and then go ahead and hit enter once you've got that. I'll leave it up there for about 30 seconds, okay? All right, let's hit enter. Now, I didn't finish reading the problem, did I? So I should probably go back and do that. I got too excited about, hey, I found something to put into the calculator. T is measured in hours since midnight. Janet starts removing snow at 6 a.m., okay, where T equals 6. The rate, G of T, in cubic feet per hour, which Janet removes snow from the driveway at time T hours after midnight, is modeled by this, okay? So this is the removal. That's the, whatchamacallit, this is the, how the snow is falling, okay? So it might not be a bad idea. I'm going to do something to this one real quick. It'd be good to write. I think I would probably put this little note on there that this is accumulate or falling. Accumulate. Okay, and this is remove. Okay, so rate of change. Find the rate of change. What does rate of change mean? Tell me in the chat. What does rate of change mean? I'm going to give everybody a chance to answer. So make sure you're helping me out in the chat. I'm getting points for it. It means slope. And I don't know if you guys caught at the beginning of that set of chat that Casey wrote derivative. So it's slope or derivative. So we have to understand what our functions actually are, whether we are already in a rate function or a slope or derivative, or whether we're in like an original situation. So notice it says rate, which means we're already in the derivative. We already have the slope. So that is a rate. This one here says the rate G of T. So this one is also derivative or the rate. So I've already got the derivative equations. I don't have to calculate those. okay? So we need to find the volume of the snow on the driveway at 8 a.m. So in order to find the rate of change of the snow, okay, I need to find the, and I'm going to call it R of T, okay? I need to take the snow that is accumulated minus the snow that is removed, right? That makes sense. That's the rate of change of the snow on the driveway. So my accumulated snow is F of T. My removed snow is G of T. Has anybody ever lived where it snows and snows all the time? I did in college. So I didn't actually have to scoop the snow off the driveway myself. Apparently nobody. Because this is not a fun whatchamacallit, a fun chore. It seems great when we live in Southern California to have snow, but I went to college in Indiana. It wasn't. I'd much rather have the sunshine and 70 degrees. Okay. I'll even take the sunshine and 90 degrees. All right, so we need to figure this out at 8 a.m. And the good news is they really set this up nicely. It says hours since midnight, which means that 8 a.m. is really T equals 8. You gotta watch. They try not to trick you, okay? They try to be nice about things, but you and notice even in the piecewise, they say it starts at 0. So I'm gonna find R of 8 minus F of 8 minus G of 8. So I am going to use, actually I'm going to put an approximately there because it's actually going to be an estimate. So I can find F of 8 by using the calculator, right? But let's look at G of 8 really quick because I want to find this with the calculator all at one time. So looking at these branches of this piecewise function, where is 8 going to fall? Is it going to fall in the first branch, the second branch, or the third branch? Can you let me know in the chat? So which branch is it going to fall in? All right, good job. It's going to fall in the third branch, okay? So I am going to use, and look at the function is actually just 108, okay? So when I put this in the calculator, I am going to put in 108 for the G of 8, okay, instead of the function. All right, so let's go to our calculator. All right, I don't want the scratch pad, but I don't want to delete what's in the scratch pad because that's where my function, or in the graph, because that's where my function is. I'm going to come over to the calculator page. And what button am I going to push to get the function? Can you tell me what button on the calculator I have to push to get the function? The F of whatever on this page. All right, nice job, ladies. Hopefully other people are getting it, but it is the var. I know it's kind of new. I know that if you were in my class last year, we worked on it a little bit. We were starting to really work on it, and then the pandemic hit. All right, so F of 1, and I'm going to type an 8 in there. And then, because that was my my F function, actually. And then my G function, we know we're just going to type in 108. And the nice part about that is we get it kind of all in one shot there. And at least on this page, I'm getting enough decimal places, okay? So we would write it, we only have to write up to the 2. We don't have to write the 9 because this is the final answer on this problem. So it is going to be approximately negative 59.582. 59.583 is also an acceptable answer, right? Because it would round to the 3. You do not have to round on the AP test. You may truncate it, meaning you can chop it off, okay? You make rounding mistakes, so I would suggest just chopping it off, okay? Because if you make a rounding mistake, you will have cost yourself a point, okay? All right, and you'll notice on this one, it wasn't worth a ton of points, but just getting the answer is all they would look at. So as long as you had this and you had work, if you just write the answer, they call it a bald answer and you don't get the point, okay? So you do have to show a little bit even though they're not scoring that work that you are showing. Okay? All right. Any questions on one? All right. Let's look at my time, 40. Okay, let's look at example 2. This one was not an actual AP test question, but it's very similar to an AP test question. It's going to hopefully, it's modeled after one. So a penguin population on an island is modeled by a differentiable function, P of time, where P of t represents the number of penguins and is measured in years for 0 to 40. There are 100,000 penguins on the island at time t equals 0. The birth rate for the penguins on the island is modeled by B of t equals 1,000 e to the 0.6 t penguins per year. And the death rate for the penguins on the island is modeled by D of t equals 250 e to the 0.1 t penguins per year. Okay. We're supposed to find the rate of change of the penguin population on the island at t equals 0. All right, so looking at these two functions, are these two functions original functions or are they rate/derivatives? Can you tell me that in the chat? Go back in and look at the paragraph. Okay, so look for the words. Are these original functions or are they rates/derivatives? Tell me what you think in the chat. Make sure you go back in the paragraph and look. All right, these are in fact rates. And again, when I see that word rate, it's not a bad idea to just write derivative above it, meaning I understand that's the derivative, okay? All right, you guys told me just a few minutes ago that rate of change means derivative, and I already have the derivative. It means slope, and which means derivative, right? And I already have the derivative there. So I am going to, basically it's the same thing we did last time, right? Rate of change of penguin population. Okay, and that is R of t, and I'm making up that R of t. Okay, I'm naming my own function for rate of change, equals. What do you think I'm going to have to do? What's going to go first here? So we've got birth and we've got death. So what do you think is going to go? What order? And you don't have to put the whole B of t, just put the B and the D. What do you think we're going to do? Hopefully it's a little bit intuitive. Not even any guesses yet. Okay. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Sach. Yes, you are correct. Okay. It would be our birth rate minus our death rate, right? Because the penguins being born are being added to the population, whereas the penguins that are dying are being subtracted from the population. So we would do B of t minus D of t. Okay. And then what am I going to do from here? What should to solve this, what do I need to do, everybody? Tell me in the chat, what do I need to do? All right. Jocelyn and Sach have it. I like that Jocelyn was specific and said 4t, where I was going to plug the 0 in. Okay, so thank you for that. Sach is correct. It's just the little bit more detail that helps. That helps with the detail. So B of 0 minus, and this is the work you should be showing, okay, on the AP test. So now I got to figure that out. The nice thing is guess what? This is a calculator question, so I need to put these in the calculator. On the AP test, don't write F1 equals F2 equals. You can't write that in this piece right here, okay? However, Up here, I might scratch over the top of it. I'm going to put this one into F1, and I'm going to put this one into F2, so I remember, okay? But don't ever write that down here that it's equal to. You don't want that getting in the way of your work, okay? All right, so let's try putting that in. So I'm going to hit Doc B to clear it. And I'm going to go back over to my calculator page, or my graph page, because that's where I type in my F of whatever. So my F, and the reason I keep going back and being consistent there rather than just putting it into here is that if I make a mistake in one, I can easily change it. And remember, on a free response problem, you're possibly going to use the calculator for 3 or 4 parts. So then you're not having to retype it in a whole bunch of times. So we've got 1,000 E to the 0.06, and instead of T, we're going to type in X. I'll give you about 30 seconds there to get that in, and I'll hit enter. Okay, once I've hit enter, what key can I hit to get another equation in? So what key should I be hitting on the calculator to get another equation in? All right, so we're going to hit that tab key. And then I'm going to type in the second equation. So 250 E to the 0.1 instead of TX. And I really don't need the 0 in front of the point. You don't have to have that part there. And I'm going to give you a couple seconds, 30 seconds, and let you get that typed in and hit enter. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to go back to the calculator page. And we're going to do var F1 of 0 minus var F2 of 0 and hit enter. So at time 0, the population is changing by 160 or 750 penguins. That was a nice number, wasn't it? Somebody worked hard on those equations. All right, let's go back and look at this. So that would be that it equals 750, not 720. How would I label this? Because it was a rate. So how would I label it? Hint, it's already in the problem. So how would I label this? Tell me in the chat. What do you think I would label it as? We'll go back and look at the paragraph. All right, we've got a lot of penguins per year. And remember the, whatchamacallit, it tells you we're doing a rate. So whenever you do a rate, you have to do something per something. And it was actually kind of given to us right there. So always go back and use that question stem as part to help you get your answer 100% complete. All right, we're going to do example 3. Okay, and then that's going to be it on the synchronous part of the day. And I don't have a video. I know that's, you're probably sad about that. I don't have a video for you to watch. I'm just going to have you work on assignments, okay? All right, so from 2017, so this is the 2017, so this wasn't that long ago, like what, 4 years ago, all right? ABBC to number 2. So when a grocery store opens, it has 50 pounds of bananas on the table. So when we see something like this, where there's something there at the open, so that's like time 0, this is what we call an initial condition. meaning it was there when we started whatever, okay? So we might not use that in this part of the problem and these parts of the problems, but it's always a good thing to point out. Okay, so customers remove bananas from the display table at a rate. So, and this is remove, modeled by this function. Remember, rate means derivative. So they gave us a crazy function. Where f of t is measured in pounds per hour. That's a good thing to know, right? And t is measured in the number of hours after the store opened. After the store has been open for 3 hours, store employees add bananas to the display at a table at a rate, so that's derivative, modeled by this crazy function, okay? Where g of t is measured in pounds per hour and t is the number of hours after the store opened, okay? It wants me to find f prime of 7 and then using correct units explain the meaning in the context of the problem, okay? So what do you think I should do with f of t and g of t? What should I do with those things? Tell me in the chat. Remember, the chat's how you're helping me make sure you're paying attention. So what do you think I should do with f of t and g of t before I go much further? I'm hoping there's delay. There we go. All right, so we are going to definitely plug those into the calculator. That's correct. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to hit Doc B. That clears the calculator. And then I'm going to type in my f of t and f1. So 10 plus 0.8x. And I don't necessarily have to have the parentheses around that. I think I'm okay without them. Sine. Oh, but I do need a times sign. That's, see how that came up italicized? So if you don't put the parentheses, put a times sign. Okay. Sine of t cubed. Okay, so here's another little calculator trick. Okay. You can use the divide key, but sometimes with the exponents and stuff, it messes it up. But if you hit Control divide, it gives you a fraction. So the way I got that was Control divide. And then I've got x to the third. And then 100. Again, I don't care much about the picture. I just need the equation put in. I'll leave it there for about 30 seconds. And then I will do the plug in the second one. All right, I'm going to put in, oh, interesting. I'm going to put in the second one, so I'm going to go tab. And I'm going to type in 3 plus 2.4 natural log. So to get natural log, it's above the E. You're going to hit Control, natural log, and then x squared plus 2x, and then hit enter. So I'll give you a minute. This one, the natural log doesn't necessarily need the multiplication sign. If you put it there, it wouldn't be wrong. Between the 2.4 and the natural log. All right, so we've got them both in. I'm going to go back and read what I was supposed to do because I forgot. So it says we got to find the derivative of set of f prime of f at 7. And remember, this was in f1 and this was in f2. Okay. So I'm looking for the one that's in f1's derivative. So there are a couple of ways to do that. Okay. I'm going to show you the way I didn't show you the other day. So I'm going to go right off the graph page. So I'm going to go to menu, It might not get me enough decimal places though, so, but it's a way to do it. Menu, analyze graph, and see how it says dy dx? So menu, analyze graph, dy dx. And then it wants me to pick the graph. I want the blue one because that's F1. And then it says position, and notice how it lets me, like I could pick a position, or I can also come over here and type it in. So I'm just going to type 7. See how it popped up in the middle of the calculator? And hit enter. And that's the number, but it's not quite, interesting graph, huh? Kind of cool looking. It's not quite enough decimal places. Okay, so that's one way to do it. The other way to do it, which is probably going to be more accurate right now for at least my calculator, the way mine's acting, is if I do it here. And remember, from here I go menu, calculus, numerical, I didn't too fast, didn't I? Menu, calculus, numerical derivative at a point. And then I'm going to type in the value 7 and click OK. And then my function is hiding in var. So var F1, and you just type in X because we already said that it equals 7. And we are going to hit enter. All right, that's a much, much better number. Okay, so let's go back here and we've got to put that in. So F prime of 7 equals negative 8.11954. At least 3 at this point. More is okay. It's not going to hurt you to have more. All right, so here's the question. I just took the derivative of something that was listed in pounds per hour. So I took the derivative of a rate. What do you think the label is going to be this time? Tell me in the chat. What's my label on this going to be? What do you guys think? Even a guess. Okay, I'll take a guess. Remember, I need to see you participating in here. Okay, so I'm seeing pounds per hour. Okay. So really what's going on here is that we're talking about pounds per hour, and then we took the derivative, meaning slope would say I'm taking this and I'm dividing by the number of hours. So it's actually the pounds of bananas per hour. Because what just happened was if I took the derivative of the derivative, this is the second derivative. That's what it's representing. Okay, so let's talk about, we haven't talked about the context of the problem yet. So I have to explain it using correct units. So I'm going to go back to the question stem. Okay, it says that we were talking about a rate. Okay, and we were actually talking about the rate of a rate. So this is, we would say that this is the rate at which customers, and F was representing removing bananas. Okay, I'm about to ask a question. You ready? From the table. Okay. Now you have to tell me here if the rate is increasing or decreasing based on the number we got. What do you guys think? Is it increasing or decreasing? All right, excellent job. It is decreasing because it's a negative. So is decreasing, okay, by 8.119 pounds of bananas per hour per hour. Okay. Notice on this piece right here, I did not put the negative because the decreasing took care of the negative. Okay. And they want to see that word decreasing. Okay. All right, so notice the scoring guide here. It was worth 2 points. We would have gotten 1 point for getting the value correct and 1 point for explaining the meaning of the value. I'm sorry if you're hearing the screaming child in the background. Because of the super high increase in cases, we are keeping the happy family all at home together right now. So it's a lot of fun. All right, they really need to go outside and have a snack right now, I think. That's what I'm hearing. Okay, part B is going to be our last little bit here, okay? So is the number of pounds of bananas on the display table increasing or decreasing at time t equals 5? Give a reason for your answer. So this is very similar to what we were doing in the other problems. We have to do, what was it? It was adding and removing, right? So there's adding is this one, removing is this one. So I have to do the adding minus the removing, right? That's what would logically make sense. So I'm going to do g of, and we have to plug in the 5. So g of 5 minus f of 5. And I need to figure out what that is. So I'm going to go back to my calculator. So g is in f2. So, and I don't have to take a derivative or anything. I'm just going to use the function as is because it's already a rate. So f2 of 5 minus var f1 of 5. And then go ahead and hit enter. So negative 2.8859. So we're going to go back here. And it's negative 2. Ooh, what happened? I didn't get the same answer. 2.88. I wonder if I've typed it in wrong somewhere. My first answer came out right. So F1's okay. Let me go back in and look at F2 really quick. Something did not go right. Let's see. 3 plus 2.4 times natural log. Oh, you know what I missed? You know what we missed? There should be another x after that. So plop another x in there. It was a typo. Oh, thank you. Cynthia, yes, you're right. I did type F2 wrong. All right, that's better. Different. All right, and now check this out. So there's a couple of ways I can deal with that. I can actually double click on that. See how I double clicked on it? So I'm glad I made the mistake. And I can go Control C. That copies it. And I can do Control V and paste it. Now I've got the right answer. Okay. Hopefully that was a cool little trick because you can copy and paste. You can do the Control Z undo on this calculator. That's what makes it really nice. Okay. So we've got negative 2.2631. Okay. So we considered that we technically considered F5 and G of 5 because we wrote that down and we subtracted them. Okay. Our reason with answer we still need. So is the number of pounds of bananas on the table increasing or decreasing? So what do you guys think? Is it increasing or decreasing at time 5? Tell me in the chat. Probably the last thing we're going to put in the chat here. Increasing or decreasing? Okay, so because we got a negative number, right? That means that the number being removed is more than the number being added at that time. So it's actually decreasing. Okay, so because of the number. So we're going to write that out. We have to write the reason. The number of pounds of bananas on the table, and again, I got to go back to the context of the problem, is decreasing at time t equals 5 hours. Remember the abbreviation NUT. That looks like a W. The abbreviation NUT. Noun, units, time. So noun was the number of pounds of bananas on the table. My units is the hours, or is the, actually we didn't even put that on there because of we didn't really state the problem or state the number, but because we had to talk about decreasing, but the time is also in there. We always have to include the time, okay? All right, so for the rest of today, the plan, okay? In Google Classroom, I put another worksheet because I figured by the time I typed it, I would be into 15 minutes into class. So it's another worksheet. There's only 4 problems on it. That's all you have to do. You can choose, I think if you look in the packet from school, I think I included it in the packet from school, okay? I think I included the other worksheets as well in there. So if you hadn't gotten to those yet. So I want you to use the 45 minutes of time to get your, to get you that worksheet done. I also need to put the notes up there too, don't I? Did you see how I started color coding everything? I'll also put the notes up there so you can get the notes turned in as well, okay? All right, are there any questions, comments, concerns? All right, we got to do a joke, right? So if you want to hang on for the joke, you can. If not, you're good to go for the day. Remember, this afternoon I'll be working with anybody who wants more help on 4.1 and 4.5, or 4.1 and 4.2, okay? The video part of the joke didn't work, but we can still hear the joke. So I don't understand what happened with his video today.
Why was the geometry teacher late for his meeting? He took the wrong bus.
So why was the geometry teacher late for the meeting? He took the wrong bus, as in he took the wrong bus. All right, have a great day, AB. Good morning, Casey. I just saw you pop in there, okay? All right. Oh. How are you doing today, Casey?